Hello, my name is Dale Ballou, and I don't actually think I have any audio on this video, but I'm going to talk to you at some points along the way, just in case I actually do. The one that I posted before this one, I realized I didn't have any audio, and in that video I was trying to explain how I was reclaiming, or in this case finishing, a painting I had started several years ago. And this is my favorite place on the planet, bar none. And I have done considerable work on it since the other video. And today what I'm going to do is work with my palette knife to emphasize these up close rocks a little bit more, and maybe do a little bit of trim on the tree with my palette knife to accentuate these so that they seem closer than the ones in the background. So I'm beginning with the addition of some darks with my palette knife, and I like color in my dark areas. I could just use Payne's Gray and just paint it all in there, but in fact that wouldn't be very interesting. And this is a painting which is an illusion anyway, so we don't want to get too carried away with our realism. But I love color anyway, and that's my motive for doing what I do, is to imitate nature as best I can, while at the same time accentuating the parts that really can't be seen very well. And a good dark mixture is Viridian Green, Alizarin Crimson, and Prussian Blue, because they're all the darker colors. So it kind of stands to reason that together they might make a vibrant shadow area. And shadows, for the most part, are cool. And even though I have some warm color in here with the alizarin crimson, I think it makes a nice, vibrant painting. And I do a lot of my actual mixing on the canvas itself when I'm using the palette knife. Because the one thing you don't want to do is over mix. And if I've already mixed it on the canvas and then I try to mix it again, then it just turns into kind of a blob. Yeah, like what's happening here. Now, one thing I have to be aware of is the fact that at some point in time, when I painted on this last, I used the palette knife, so I don't have a smooth surface to work with, and that's okay, but I just have to be a little more careful about paint application. I caution students about continuing to use the paint that's in the brush almost as if it's going to go to waste if you don't use it on something. But two things can possibly happen if you're too free with your brush strokes. You actually end up muddying the color that you have on your canvas and overworking it, sometimes blending it in too much. Even if you want to be a realist, a representational painter, you need to keep in mind that even if the eye doesn't necessarily distinguish the colors in our landscape, they're all there on every object to one extent or another. Now I'm using this small pointed palette knife for perhaps some obvious reasons, because I'm going into some tight corner areas. And in that particular case, it just fits right in, except I don't have enough paint to make that happen. It takes a lot more paint to use a palette knife, but you can also scrape all of the paint that you have on your canvas so that none of that goes to waste. Now I want to get paint on the flat of my palette knife for this area. And the fact that it's already been painted helps in that respect. Okay, do just a little bit more right over here. I don't want to do any of that in here because I want it to be a little more fused. One more area over here I want to pay attention to. And if you get some dried paint, just scrape it off. It's the other nice thing about painting with the palette knife. You also scrape it off the canvas if you get it in a place where you don't want it. And pay attention to where you're putting the paint on your palette knife when you're working in tight areas. Okay, I'm going to pull some of this, almost like a dry brush effect. You put some of my burnt sienna in here. This is my burnt sienna. And to make a line with your palette knife, you just load your paint and just slide it across. And as you use the paint on the very edge, then you can tilt it. You'll want to keep your palette knife wiped off as you begin to work in other colors, because by the end of your painting session you could end up with some mud that you don't want. Now I've taken this thin layer and I'm going to try to accentuate my water a little bit more. The paintbrush wasn't doing the best job of that. Not really using any medium in my paint, which means this is going to take several days to dry. But I don't have to be any place with it, so that's okay. That's okay. If you notice on a few occasions, like right here, when I got too much paint and it was slanted in a strange way, I can just go back and make it a little heavier water splashing, because it is never going to splash the same way twice, neither when I was there taking the picture or when I was painting it. Not that I'm trying to represent the photograph either. But I love the fact that I can go back in and pick up paint that I've scraped off of the palette pad. I don't know where that came from, but it's okay. Just make use of it. Let's do it some more. Okay, just a few more little lines. Okay, I'm going to call that done for now. And in session 2, I'm going to come back and do the highlights on the rocks.